One day, Spanish film director Guillermo del Toro woke up one day and decided, I'm gonna make a movie about a woman falling in love with the creature from the Black Lagoon. And he did. And it won Best Production Design, Best Original Score, Best Picture, and Best Director at the 2018 Academy Awards. The general reaction to this was a mixture of confusion and disappointment because no one had heard of this movie. Except for me, of course. Just the idea of Guillermo del Toro making a Cold War period piece with a fantasy romance in it just sold me on the idea. How can you not be excited about something like that? It's insane sounding. And I know what everyone was thinking. A woman falling in love with a fish monster? That sounds a little weird. But I think it was executed perfectly. And here's why. Le temps d'une chanson. The Shape of Water has this fantasy tone to it, but it still takes itself seriously enough to be considered dramatic. There are frilly, whimsical parts. The main character tap dances sometimes, and there are these musical numbers that express the inner feelings of our main character who's mute. Then there are these moments of genuine intensity. During the end of the movie, the main villain starts catching on to the little scheme that the main character has of breaking the fish monster out, so he breaks into her friend's house and questions her in a genuinely upsetting scene. It is so creepy. And this isn't exactly new for Guillermo del Toro. I mean, his movies like Pan's Labyrinth do the exact same thing of mixing fantasy with like horror and other serious things. There are comedic beats, but the comedy comes from this sense of realism in this obviously not realistic setting. Richard Jenkinson's character is this silly old gay man living in the Cold War America, which seems like it's gonna be a sort of downer role, but he plays the audience surrogate. Every reaction he has are the reactions the audience is feeling. When he panics that they're doing something incredibly dumb and breaking into a government facility, we relate to that. So again, that's that balance of a humorous reaction in a very serious situation. Now, obviously, the relationship between the main character, Liza, and the Fishman is the main focus. And it is done beautifully. The first time I watched it, I was under the impression that the relationship developed a bit too fast. But on later watchings, it actually seemed to work out really well. You could say that it was too fast, but is there nothing more, fantasy than a love at first sight trope? The buildup of trust between the two was really cute and started off sort of innocently before it turned more serious, but that's what's so good about this story. The romance is handled maturely. It's handled like any other romance you'd see in any other fantasy movie. Of course, the characters are a little weirded out by it, because who wouldn't be in any real situation? But what's so heartwarming about the story is that everyone just sort of goes with it. They're basically in the same ride that you're in. You're like, this is weird, but I mean, I'm watching this movie, so I guess I gotta stick with it. Now, this is a Cold War period piece, so it does get political, which again, these political themes and plot lines weave into the story perfectly. It all comes together to feel just like one big ensemble story. The main focus, of course, is breaking the roles of the standard red-blooded American and the scary communists that are thinking about breaking into America and spying on everyone. The roles are very much the same. You have a group of Americans that are heartful and tender and just, normal people, but you have the scary big bad government man, which is the embodiment of toxic masculinity. He doesn't wash his hands after using the bathroom. He is the self-proclaimed man of the household. And on the other side, you have actual spy Russians that want to steal information from America. That's what the Cold War was. But you also have a normal human being as a Russian who doesn't really want to do this. He'd rather preserve the fishman for science and discovery, and also he doesn't want to hurt an innocent creature. And of course, people got mad that they treated the Russian man like a human being and an American man like a total jerk, even though it made it obvious that those weren't the spokesperson of that culture. People will just get angry at anything that goes against what they want to believe, which is literally what the movie is about. That's the political plot line in here. Now, all of those points didn't even touch on the technical aspect of this movie. It looks beautiful. The soundtrack is amazing. Guillermo del Toro is a fantastic director. But all the reasons why people were mad that it won Best Picture were all reasons that just weren't valid. Can't we just all sit and relish that we live in a world where Guillermo del Toro made this movie? Because that's what I want to do.